there and make some noise, and they did a twofold on us yesterday. Yeah, it's hard to argue with either decision. Give me your thoughts on activity for your ball club here on Thursday afternoon. Go ahead.
Friday.
Yeah,
Friday now, Thursday then.
The interesting thing to me is that David Stearns told us the Yelich talks were in the works for a couple of months. Lorenzo Cain told us that the Brewers were one of the first teams on him, the second free agency open, and they were consistently aggressive in courting him throughout this offseason. So, this has been the plan for David Stearns and Matt Arnold all along, to add these outfielders, which is really intriguing to me because I think to the outside, and a lot of us didn't really see the Brewers as a team that was going to go after outfielders. That looked like a spot that was set for them with Braun, with Domingo Santana in right field, and then the mix that they have in center field, including Lewis Brinson, who went in that Yelich trade. So that all kind of got turned upside down yesterday. They get two really good players, and you mentioned the defense, particularly that Lorenzo Cain will bring. That was an area the Brewers really needed to improve. They've boosted their defense big time, but now they have a huge pool of outfielders, and it just seems that there are more moves to come. I don't think I've heard the end of the story of how this sort of outfield situation and the rest of the roster will shake out.
Well, listen, you got three guys for two spots, Thames, Cain, and Santana. How do you think it's going to shake down?
Well, it's the outfield picture to me. I had tried to line up a lineup yesterday, and it's really challenging. Lorenzo Cain, I think, is a center fielder. I think you sign him $80 million. That's the biggest deal the Brewers have ever given away to a free agent, at least, by far. So I think he's your center fielder. Yelich won a Gold Glove in left field for the Marlins. Domingo Santana, if he's going to be on the Brewers and he's not traded for pitching here the rest of the way, he's got the arm for right field. He doesn't rate well as a defensive right fielder, but the arm plays there. So where's Ryan Braun in that mix? That's going to be a question for David Stearns here when they have a Lorenzo Cain press conference in a couple of hours. I'm sure that'll be a topic. And then, first base is right now Eric Thames and Jesus Aguilar are a pretty good left-right platoon for the Brewers. So they have a lot of pieces, and that's what makes me think David Stearns still has something up his sleeve. You were talking a little while ago, Chris. If you look at this team now with fresh eyes, with this pretty good outfield, and you think, what does this team need to really be a contender? The pitching. They need more pitching. And there's certainly one spot, at least in the starting rotation, for one more established guy. There's probably room in the bullpen for another established guy. So what does David Stearns do now with this surplus? Is it a Domingo Santana trade for a starter? Do they look at trading a guy like Brett Phillips or Keon Broxton as part of a package for a starter, or maybe a reliever? I think he has a lot of options and a lot of balls still in the air.
Well, bottom line is, though, if he's going to get a difference maker as a starting pitcher, I would think the guy he has to trade is Santana, right? I mean, so as a result, would you want to trade a guy who's 25 years of age, had a very good offensive year, young player, control and everything else? Do you want to trade that? Now, that keeps Braun in right, or whatever you want to do in the outfield, that keeps Braun moving. But I like Santana a lot, but if you don't trade him and you trade somebody else, you're not going to get as good a pitcher. So what's your take on that for a second?
I think you're right. If they want to go get an elite, a really good starting pitcher, Chris Archer is a name that's been linked to the Brewers all winter. Now, I know Chris Archer said it sounds like he's heard from the Rays that he's unlikely to be dealt. Look, things can change here. There's still 9 weeks to go before opening day, a little less than that. So, say to Chris, I think you do have to start with the Domingo Santana and go from there, and probably another really big package of players to get a guy like Chris Archer.
Good job there, Adam. A little issues with the microphone at the end, but outstanding. Good job, good help there, and you'll do a good job at that press conference today. Thanks very much. I appreciate it. Adam there in Milwaukee, Miller Park. All right, Santana, then Mr. Shine. We get a chance here.